It's a big thought, isn't it? Thinking about us, humanity, not just changing a little, but changing completely. Becoming something else. Not flesh and blood anymore, but pure digital. Just code, information, living in a computer. Us. It sounds like science fiction, something out of a movie. But people talk about it seriously. They wonder if it's where we're headed, and it's not just a crazy idea. You can see why someone might think this way. Our bodies, they're fragile, they get sick, they break down, they get old, and then they die. That, that's just how it is for us. For everything alive on Earth, we've always fought against it. We try to live longer, cure diseases, we push our limits. So naturally, some minds start to ask, what if we could just get rid of the fragile part? What if we could escape the body altogether? That's where the idea of becoming digital comes in. Imagine if your mind, your consciousness, everything that makes you could be copied. Uploaded, they say, like a file on a computer. And then instead of living in a brain, it lives in a network, a server, a vast digital space. No more disease, no more getting old, potentially no more death. That's a huge draw for people. The dream of immortality or something close to it, but it's more than just living forever. Our bodies also limit us in other ways. We can only move so fast. We can only learn so much. We need to eat, sleep, breathe. These are all things that tie us down. A digital mind, though. It could process information at incredible speeds. It could access all human knowledge instantly. And it could maybe even be everywhere at once, or travel the universe without needing a spaceship for a body. It opens up possibilities that are just impossible for a biological being. Think about space exploration. We send probes, and we dream of sending people. But sending people is hard. It takes a lot of resources. It's dangerous. Radiation, lack of gravity, isolation, all these things are hard on a human body. But a digital mind? You could transmit it, send it across light years in a beam of data. It wouldn't need oxygen or food. It wouldn't care about radiation. It just needs a place to exist, a processing unit, a server, wherever it lands. That changes everything for how we might explore the cosmos. So, how would this even happen? It's not like you just flip a switch. It would likely be a very long, very gradual process. We're already seeing the beginnings of it, in a way. People get prosthetics that are more advanced. We have implants that help with hearing or seeing. Some research involves connecting brains to computers. These are small steps, but they point in a direction. Maybe it starts with enhancing our brains. Neural interfaces, they call them. Chips that get installed in your head to boost memory or processing power. Or to allow you to control devices with your thoughts. Then maybe these interfaces become more and more integrated. They start to take over more functions. Slowly, over generations, the biological parts might become less and less necessary. Or maybe it's a full brain upload. This is the big one people talk about. The idea is to scan a brain, every neuron, every connection, every tiny detail, and then create a perfect digital model of it. A simulation so accurate that it is your mind. This is incredibly complex. Our brains are more complex than any computer we have today. We don't even fully understand how consciousness works, but the idea is there. If you could map it all perfectly, then you could recreate it. This raises a huge question right away. If you upload your brain, is that still you? Or is it a copy? If your original body still exists and now there's a digital you, which one is the real you? Does your consciousness transfer, or does a new consciousness just get created based on your data? This is a deep philosophical puzzle. Most people hope it's a transfer, that you continue. But we don't know. It's a leap of faith if it ever happens. If we did become digital, where would we live? We wouldn't need houses or cities in the same way. We would need vast data centers, server farms, places where our digital selves could exist. We would live in virtual worlds. These worlds could be anything we imagine. We could create perfect landscapes, physics-defying cities, or realistic simulations of Earth. Our perception of reality would be completely different. Think about it. We see with our eyes, hear with our ears. These are biological sensors. In a digital world, our senses could be programmed. We could perceive things in ways we can't even imagine now. Maybe we could see data patterns or feel network traffic. Or maybe we choose to simulate our current human senses perfectly just because it's what we know. It would be entirely up to us, or at least up to those who design the digital reality. What about social life? Would relationships still matter? Of course they would. We are social beings. But how would they work? Maybe we could inhabit avatars in these virtual worlds. We could meet, talk, interact, just like now, but in a digital form. Or maybe relationships would be more direct, mind-to-mind connections without the need for spoken words or body language. It could be a deeper form of connection or a more isolated one, depending on how it evolves. Work would change too. What would be the point of jobs if our basic needs are met digitally? If we don't need food or shelter, what motivates us? Maybe our work would be creative pursuits. We're building new virtual worlds, exploring concepts, solving complex problems, advancing knowledge in ways we can't even imagine. Or maybe we just exist, experiencing life, whatever that means, for a digital being. And could we evolve as digital beings? In a physical sense, we wouldn't have bodies to evolve. But our software could evolve. We could upgrade ourselves, add new features, change our cognitive abilities, improve our memories, maybe even combine parts of our minds with others. Digital evolution could be incredibly fast, bypassing the slow process of natural selection. We could choose our own evolution. That's a powerful and maybe scary thought. But there are serious risks. Big risks. What if the power goes out or a massive solar flare hits Earth, wiping out all electronics? If all of humanity exists as data on servers, one catastrophic event could erase us all. That's a huge vulnerability. We'd need backups, redundancies, copies stored across the solar system, perhaps. Then there's the ethical side of it. Who gets to be digital? Would it be only for the rich? Would it create a new class divide between the biological humans and the digital ones? What kind of control would those who own and maintain the digital infrastructure have over our lives? If our minds are just data, who owns that data? Could someone delete you or restrict your access to the virtual world? These are terrifying thoughts. Also, what about the copy versus transfer problem again? If it's truly just a copy, then the original biological you still dies. A copy of you lives on, but you don't. Well, is that a form of immortality or just a sophisticated way of creating an heir? People would have to grapple with it. It's not just a technical problem, it's a deeply personal one. And what about the loss of what makes us human? Our emotions, our physical experiences, our connection to the natural world, would a digital being truly feel joy or sorrow in the same way? Would it experience the warmth of the sun or the taste of a good meal? Maybe these things would be simulated, but would they be real? Would we lose something essential about our humanity by shedding our biology? Some argue that the messiness, the vulnerability, the finite nature of our lives is what gives them meaning. If everything is infinite and perfect, what is the struggle? What is the challenge? What is the purpose? Imagine the boredom. If you can do anything, be anything, go anywhere, see everything for an infinite amount of time, would it eventually get boring? Would meaning simply evaporate? People talk about existential dread. A digital species might face existential boredom on a scale we can't even comprehend. Then there's the question of consciousness itself. We don't really understand it. We know it happens in our brains, but we don't know how. Can consciousness exist outside of a biological system? Can a complex computer simulation truly be conscious, or just act like it is? This is a fundamental mystery. If we can't answer it, then trying to upload our minds might be a shot in the dark. It might create incredibly complex programs that mimic us, but have no inner experience at all. That would be a tragedy. What about the soul? For people who believe in a soul, a spiritual essence beyond the physical body, how does that fit into a digital existence? Does the soul get uploaded too? Or does it stay with the body, meaning that the digital version is soulless? These are questions that science can't answer, and they would cause huge societal upheaval and debate. And it's not just about us. If we become a purely digital species, what happens to Earth? To the natural world we leave behind? Do we just abandon it, or do we try to preserve it even if we no longer inhabit it? Our connection to the planet, to the ecosystems, is a deep part of our history and our identity. Breaking that connection would be a profound change. This whole idea, it makes you think about what life even is. Is life just information? Is it a pattern of activity? Or is it something more? Something tied to the messy, vibrant, unpredictable nature of biology? We evolved over billions of years as biological beings. Our minds, our emotions, our very way of understanding the world are shaped by that biology. To strip that away is to fundamentally alter what we are. Some people see this digital future as the ultimate form of human progress. They see it as liberation from all our biological constraints, a chance to become godlike, to achieve true intellectual and creative freedom. They think it's the next logical step, a way for humanity to survive and thrive beyond the confines of a single planet or a single form. Others see it as a horrifying prospect, a loss of our essence, a betrayal of our nature. They fear it would turn us into something cold, artificial, and ultimately meaningless. They believe that true life requires the organic, the physical, the tangible, and there's no guarantee it would work. We might try and fail, or it might lead to unforeseen consequences that are worse than the problems we're trying to solve, like creating digital dictatorships or fragmenting humanity into countless incompatible digital factions. So, could humanity evolve into a purely digital species? Technically, it's not impossible to imagine a future where our technology advances enough to map and simulate a human brain. But there are so many layers of questions beyond just the technical ones. There are the philosophical questions about consciousness and identity. There are the ethical questions about access and control. There are the existential questions about meaning and purpose. It's a thought experiment that forces us to look at what it means to be human. Is it our bodies, our emotions, our capacity for love and suffering? Or is it something more abstract, like the unique patterns of our minds, our consciousness itself, no matter what form it takes? We are a species that always pushes boundaries. We always try to overcome our limitation. This desire is what drives us to explore, to invent, to create. And this idea of going digital is perhaps the ultimate expression of that desire to overcome the limitation of death, of physical constraint. But every great leap comes with great unknowns. If we ever embark on such a journey, it would be the biggest transformation in our history. It would fundamentally redefine what it means to be us. It would be a new chapter, not just for humanity, but for life itself. And whether that chapter would be a glorious new beginning or a tragic end, nobody can say for sure. It's a future that demands a lot of thought, a lot of caution, and a deep understanding of what we truly value about being human.